Hi, everyone. We have been conditioned to believe that debt is a solid mathematical reality, a heavy burden that we must carry until the system decides we are free. But what if I told you that debt is not a financial problem, but a vibrational anchor? In the framework of the Matrix, debt is the primary tool used to keep your consciousness locked in a state of survival, fear, and lack. It is a parasitic frequency that feeds on your attention. The moment you worry about a bill, the moment you feel that pit in your stomach when looking at your bank account, you are signing a quantum contract that keeps you bound to that reality. To break free, you don't need a better accounting strategy, you need the art of neutralization. During my own transition, I realized that my financial lead wasn't caused by my expenses, but by my emotional obsession with them. I was feeding the glitch. I was giving my life force to a system designed to thrive on my anxiety. It wasn't until I learned to withdraw my energy, to become vibrationally invisible to the concept of debt, that the physical reality began to shift. This is about reclaiming your sovereign authority. When you stop reacting to the 3D illusion of debt, the matrix loses its grip on your timeline. You move from being a debtor to being a creator. In this video, we are going to explore the radical protocol of starving the system. We'll discuss how to look at your financial shadow without giving it your light. I'm Caroline, and today we are going to dissolve the contracts that no longer serve your evolution. If you are ready to stop being a battery for the Matrix, leave a comment below with the word neutral. Make sure to subscribe to join our laboratory of sovereign initiates. And remember, the links to the books and free materials to help you exit the system are in the description. Are you ready to unplug? Let's neutralize the Matrix.
Debt as a frequency, the parasitic system. To dismantle the financial prison you find yourself in, you must first recognize that the matrix is not made of metal and stone, but of vibrational contracts. In this 3D reality, what we call debt is far more than a numerical deficit in a ledger. It is a specialized frequency designed to keep the human avatar in a state of perpetual low-frequency oscillation. When you are in debt, your primary emotional states are typically fear, shame, and anxiety. These are the exact frequencies that make a human being easily manageable by the system. From a quantum perspective, debt is a parasitic energy loop. It requires your constant attention to remain real. The moment you stop feeding it with your emotional charge, the structure begins to lose its molecular density. During my own journey of transition, I had to confront the terrifying realization that I was a battery for my own creditors. Every time I opened a statement and felt my heart rate increase, I was sending a burst of high-quality emotional energy directly into the system of lack. I was effectively telling the quantum field, "This debt is my master, and I am its servant." The field, being an impartial mirror, simply responded by giving me more reasons to feel that way. I was trapped in a vibrational feedback loop. I had to learn that the system doesn't actually want your money. It wants your sovereign attention. Money is just the bait. The attention is the prize. When you understand this, you realize that the most radical act of rebellion is not working harder to pay the debt, but withdrawing the energy that keeps the debt alive in your field. This is where the concept of the parasitic system becomes practical. The matrix operates on the principle of polarity. It needs you to be for or against something to keep you engaged. When you fight debt, you are still giving it your energy. When you worry about debt, you are still giving it your energy. In both scenarios, you are validating the existence of the debt as a primary authority in your life. To neutralize the matrix, you must move to a state of zero-point neutrality. You must look at the number on the screen and realize it is nothing more than a digital glitch, a remnant of an old version of you that no longer exists. You have to stop signing the contract with your stress.
Greg Braden and other quantum pioneers have shown that the language of the heart is what informs the divine matrix. If your heart is broadcasting, "I am overwhelmed by this debt," the matrix will rearrange itself to ensure you stay overwhelmed. It will create more unforeseen expenses, more delays in payment, and more lead in your financial life. The debt becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because your biology is now tuned to the frequency of owing. You have effectively become a debtor at the cellular level. Your water, those 70% we discussed, is now structured in the geometry of scarcity. I remembered the exact moment I decided to stop being a vibrational slave. I looked at my mounting bills and I said to myself, "This is a fiction. This is a game played by a system I no longer belong to." I didn't ignore the physical reality entirely, but I withdrew the sacred energy of my concern. I decided that my peace was more valuable than the system's demands. This is the first step in financial sovereignty. You must reclaim your power from the numbers. You must realize that your value as a sovereign being is not, and never can be, defined by a credit score or a balance. Those are just tools of the matrix used to measure how well you are behaving within its walls. The lead of debt is heavy because you are carrying it in your mind. In the quantum field, there is no such thing as owing anything. There is only equilibrium and frequency. If you align yourself with the frequency of abundance, the debt has no choice but to be neutralized. It cannot exist in a field of high-frequency sovereignty. It's like trying to maintain a shadow in the middle of a spotlight. By shifting your frequency from reaction to neutralization, you are effectively unplugging the parasitic cord that has been draining your creative potential. You are telling the system, "You no longer have my permission to use my fear as fuel." This block is about understanding the mechanical nature of lack. Lack is not a natural state of the universe. It is a manufactured condition of the matrix. It is a glitch that we have been taught to believe is a law. When you start viewing your financial situation through the lens of vibrational physics, the fear begins to dissolve. You start to see the creditors, the banks, and the bills as actors in a play that you are no longer interested in watching. You are moving from the audience, where you are affected by the drama, to the director's chair, where you decide which scenes get filmed. As we move forward, we will look at how to actually starve this glitch through the art of non-reaction. We will explore how to live in the 3D world without being of the 3D world, ensuring that your energy stays within your own sovereign vault. But for now, I want you to sit with this truth. Debt is a frequency. And like any frequency, if you stop tuning into it, it eventually fades out of your broadcast. You are not a debtor. You are a quantum creator who has temporarily forgotten their power. It's time to remember. The art of non-reaction, starving the glitch. To neutralize the matrix, you must master the most difficult skill in the alchemist's arsenal, the art of non-reaction. In the financial world, especially in the sectors where I spent years of my life, insurance and the stock market, everything is built on the probability of reaction. The insurance industry, for instance, is a massive architecture built entirely on the commodification of fear. It sells you safety by forcing you to obsess over every possible disaster. It requires you to vibrate at the frequency of "what if?" In the stock market, the glitch is even more apparent. Prices don't move based on objective reality, but on the collective emotional reaction of the masses. If the crowd fears, the lead drops. If the crowd hopes, the gold rises. The entire system is a giant mirror of human emotion, and debt is the ultimate tool used to trigger that emotion. When I was transitioning out of that world, I realized that my bank account was acting just like a volatile stock. Every time I looked at my debts, my emotional reaction was selling my sovereignty and buying into the system's fear. I was playing the game exactly how they designed it. To starve the glitch, I had to apply a strategy that felt completely counterintuitive to my training in finance. I had to stop caring. In the insurance world, not caring is seen as a risk. In the quantum world, not caring about the 3D shadow is the only way to collapse a new reality. Non-reaction is the mute button for the matrix. When you look at a debt and you refuse to offer it the sacred currency of your anxiety, the parasitic loop has nothing to feed on. This is what I call vibrational ghosting. Imagine the matrix is a toxic creditor calling your phone 20 times a day. If you pick up and argue, you are still in the relationship. If you pick up and cry, you are still in the relationship. But if you simply stop answering, if the phone of your emotions stays silent, eventually the caller loses interest. In my own life, I had to look at my bills and say, this number is a ghost of a version of me that no longer exists. I stopped associating the lead in my mailbox with my value as a human being. I started treating my debt as a digital error rather than a moral failure. By withdrawing my reaction, I was effectively withdrawing the etheric glue that was holding those debts in my physical timeline. Let's look at the mechanics of this through the lens of quantum observation. As we discussed in previous protocols, the observer effect proves that consciousness collapses the wave into a particle. If you are constantly observing your debt with the frequency of panic, you are freezing that debt in its current state. You are telling the quantum field, keep this particle solid. But the moment you move into a state of divine indifference, you are unobserving the debt. You are creating a vibrational vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. Something must rush in to fill it. If you maintain your neutrality, what rushes in is the gold of your new sovereign frequency.
I remember the pressure of the insurance world, where every risk had to be calculated and every loss had to be accounted for. It was an environment that demanded constant reaction to external data. When I brought that employee mindset into my personal manifestation, I failed. I was trying to manage my debt instead of neutralizing it. I had to learn that you cannot solve a 3D problem with 3D energy. You have to go to the source code. The source code of your financial life is the silence of your reaction. If the matrix sends you a leaden event, a surprise bill, or a low balance, and you respond with the same neutral ease you would feel if you had $1 million, you have officially hacked the system. You have become a vibrational glitch that the matrix cannot track. This doesn't mean you don't pay your bills. It means you don't pay with your life force. There is a massive difference between the physical act of sending a payment and the emotional act of suffering through it. When I worked with stocks, I saw how the most successful traders were the ones who could remain detached. They didn't identify with the loss. They knew that the market was just a flow of energy. Your life is the same. Debt is just a temporary low-pressure zone in your financial atmosphere. If you stay neutral, the pressure will naturally equalize. But if you panic, you create a storm that keeps the low pressure locked in place. This level of vibrational detachment is what we build here in our laboratory. We are training ourselves to be sovereign arbitrators of our own energy. If you are tired of being a stock that the matrix trades at will, it's time to delist yourself from their exchange. Subscribe to the channel and join our circle of sovereign initiates. Every new subscriber strengthens the collective neutrality of this field, making it easier for all of us to unplug from the system of lack. Hit the button and let's starve the glitch together. Practical non-reaction looks like this. The next time you feel that jolt of fear regarding money, you catch it. You don't judge it, but you don't feed it. You breathe into your heart and you say, this feeling is a biological relic of the old matrix. It is not the truth of my gold. You return to the state of ASEP. You act as if the debt has already been dissolved by a higher law. You treat the 3D evidence as expired data. This is how I moved from the lead of my corporate past into the gold of my sovereign present. I stopped being a reactor and started being an actor who only plays the role of the victor.
Think of your energy as your vibrational capital. In the insurance world, capital is guarded with extreme care. You should guard your emotional capital even more fiercely. Why are you investing your peace into a debt that is designed to bankrupt your soul? Why are you insuring your poverty by worrying about it every night? To neutralize the matrix, you must become a bad investment for the system. When the system tries to extract fear from you and gets nothing in return, it eventually has to move on to a more reactive battery. You become invisível ao sistema. In the next block, we are going to look at redirecting the flow. Once you have stopped the leak of your energy through non-reaction, how do you pump that vibrational capital into your new timeline of wealth? We will move from neutralizing to magnetizing, but for now, practice the art of the blank stare. Look at the lack and offer it nothing. The matrix is a predator that only sees movement. If you stay vibrationally still, it will pass you by.
Redirecting the flow, tuning in to sovereignty. Once you have successfully achieved a state of divine indifference toward your financial shadow, you have created a powerful vibrational vacuum. In the physics of the matrix, energy cannot simply vanish, it must be redirected. The life force you were previously wasting on anxiety, fear, and calculating your lack is now back in your hands. This is your sovereign capital. The masterstroke of the law of attraction is realizing that you don't need money to create the frequency of wealth. You need the feeling fact of wealth to collapse the money into your 3D experience. Now that you are no longer feeding the glitch, you must begin to feed the sovereign self. You must tune your internal antenna to the frequency of sovereignty with such precision that the quantum field has no choice but to mirror it. During my transition, this was the hardest part to master. I had neutralized the fear, but I found myself in a neutral zone where nothing was happening. I realized that not worrying is only half the battle. The other half is active frequency seeding. I had to stop seeing myself as someone who was trying to pay off debt and start seeing myself as someone who was managing vast abundance. This is the core of the ASIP protocol. If you are paying off debt, your primary identity is a debtor. But if you are expanding your empire, your identity is a sovereign. Even if you are only moving $5 into a savings account, you must do it with the emotional charge of a billionaire. You are not saving for a rainy day, you are anchoring a golden timeline. The divine matrix, as Greg Braden teaches, is a mirror of your current state of being. If you want to redirect the flow of wealth toward you, you must provide a magnetic target. This target is created through heart-brain coherence. When you sit in your 17-second and 68-second windows, you aren't wishing for your debt to disappear. You are observing the version of you that doesn't even remember what debt felt like. You are feeling the texture of the gold in your life, the ease of purchase, the freedom of movement, the quiet certainty that you are the source of your own supply. You must saturate your liquid crystal body, your 70% water, with this new signature of success. You are rewriting the code of your internal ocean from scarcity to sovereignty. A practical technique for this redirection is the sovereign spend. Every time you exchange money, whether it's paying a small bill or buying a coffee, you must do it from a state of infinite flow. Most people pay their bills with a feeling of loss or contraction. This contraction tells the matrix that your supply is limited. To neutralize this, you must bless the transaction. As the money leaves your hand or your digital account, feel it as a seed being planted in a field that will return to you 100-fold. Feel the power of circulation. You are not losing money, you are commanding the flow. By doing this, you are telling the quantum field that you are an open conduit for wealth, and the field will respond by increasing the volume of the broadcast. I remember when I used to avoid looking at my balance because it felt leaden. When I shifted into sovereign tuning, I started looking at my balance and saying, "Thank you for being the foundation of my growing empire." Even if the number was small, I gave it the golden meaning. I treated my small wins with the same reverence as my big victories.
This consistent positive observation is what triggers the quantum Zeno effect. You are freezing the wealth timeline into place through the sheer persistence of your focus. You are no longer checking to see if it's working. You are declaring that it is already done. This quiet certainty is the most magnetic frequency in the universe. This level of frequency mastery is exactly what we cultivate in this laboratory. We are moving beyond positive thinking and entering the realm of biological and quantum engineering. If you are ready to stop being a vibrational debtor and start being a sovereign creator, you need to be part of this movement. Subscribe to the channel now and help us amplify this wealth signature across the globe. When you subscribe, you are signaling to the universe that you are ready for a higher level of information and a higher level of reality. Join us and let's turn your lead into gold together. One of the most powerful ways to redirect your energy is to focus on contribution rather than getting. When you are in debt, your focus is entirely on how do I get money to satisfy the system? This is a taker frequency, which is inherently contracted. When you shift to, how can I bring my unique value to the field, you move into a giver frequency, which is inherently expansive. This expansion is what neutralizes the matrix most effectively. The system cannot control a being who is focused on their own creative sovereignty. By focusing on what you are becoming rather than what you are owing, you effectively step out of the debt paradigm and into the abundance paradigm. I want you to realize that your creative energy is the only real currency that exists. The digital numbers on a screen are just shadows. When you reclaim your energy from the leaden worry of debt and invest it into the golden vision of your future, you are performing the ultimate act of financial alchemy. You are turning your attention into assets. You are turning your peace into profit. This is not just law of attraction theory. This is the mechanical reality of how the matrix is rewritten. You are the programmer, and you have just reclaimed your access to the source code. As we move into the final block, we will discuss the sovereign exit, the practical steps to maintain this neutrality in the 3D world, and how to eventually watch the matrix self-correct to match your new frequency. We will wrap up with the final protocol for dissolving the old contracts once and for all. But for now, hold the feeling of the gold. Feel the weight of the lead lifting off your shoulders. You are no longer a debtor to the system. You are a sovereign of the field. The sovereign exit. Practical steps to dissolve the matrix. We have reached the final stage of the neutralization protocol, the sovereign exit. This is where your internal gold finally transmutes the external lead of the matrix. You have neutralized the frequency of debt through divine indifference, and you have redirected your life force toward the frequency of sovereignty. Now you must learn how to navigate the 3D world as the old matrix begins to self-correct. When you withdraw your energy from a system of lack, that system will eventually reorder itself to reflect your new state of being. This often manifests as unexpected settlements, the sudden dissolution of old obligations, or a massive influx of new opportunities that make the old debt seem like a distant memory. This is not a miracle. It is the quantum correction that occurs when a sovereign being refuses to be a battery for fear. During my own sovereign exit, I had to learn how to deal with the shadows of the old system without giving them my light. I realized that as long as I was fighting to pay off the past, I was still chained to it. I had to adopt a practice of financial transparency and emotional detachment. I handled the 3D requirements, the emails, the calls, the paperwork, with the same emotional weight I would give to a game of Monopoly. I stopped identifying with the debtor avatar. I began to see every payment as a release of old energy rather than a loss of resources. This subtle shift in perception is what finally collapsed the old timeline. By treating the lead as something that was already gone, I allowed the gold to take its place. A practical step in this exit is the gratitude for the lesson. This might sound cliché, but in vibrational physics, it is the ultimate neutralizer. If you hate your debt, you are still bound to it by the frequency of hate. If you are grateful for the pressure it put on you to finally discover your sovereign power, you have effectively extracted the gold from the experience. You have learned the lesson, and therefore the lesson, the debt, no longer needs to exist. You are telling the Matrix, I have gained the information. The contract is now fulfilled. This information extraction is the fastest way to dissolve any leaden situation in your life. Once you grow larger than the problem simply ceases to be. You must also practice future self-observation during the transition. When the 3D world presents a leaden challenge, perhaps a reminder of an old balance, ask yourself, how does the version of me who is already free view this? Usually, that version doesn't view it at all. That version is too busy creating, expanded, and enjoying the flow. By occupying that mental space, you are utilizing the quantum Zeno effect to freeze the new timeline into place. You are refusing to glitch back into the old frequency. This requires a level of mental discipline that most people never achieve, but it is the only way to ensure a permanent exit from the Matrix. You must be more loyal to your future than you are to your past. As the old contracts dissolve, you will notice a lightness in your energy field. This is the sign that your 70% liquid body is now structured in the geometry of abundance. Your antenna is no longer picking up the static of the debt paradigm. You are now a match for a different set of laws, the sovereign laws of the field. In this state, money is no longer something you chase. It is something that circulates around you as a byproduct of your frequency. You have neutralized the gravity of the system, and now you are in quantum orbit. You have successfully turned your financial lead into sovereign gold. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for staying with us until the very end. Dealing with the leaden topics of debt and the Matrix requires courage and a true desire for sovereignty. I am deeply honored to share this space with you and to be your guide as we navigate these complex vibrational waters. Your presence here is a testament to your power, and I am grateful for the energy you bring to this laboratory. Thank you for your time, your focus, and for being part of this transition. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to help us continue this work and to ensure you stay tuned to the frequency of freedom. Your subscription helps us reach more batteries who are ready to unplug from the Matrix and reclaim their sovereign power. For those ready to accelerate their sovereign exit, I have included links to books and free materials in the description below that dive deeper into the mechanics of the financial matrix and the work of Greg Braden and Dr. Joe Dispenza. Use these tools to ground your new frequency. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay neutral, stay sovereign, and keep your focus on the gold.